Howdy y'all. I hope this week finds you all well and hanging in there. We're going to start off the video with the answer to last week's puzzler. So I shared with you last week these words, and I asked you to let me know what they all had in common. Each of them has the same uniqueness about it. So I will explain it to you. If you don't want to know the answer yet, you want to ponder it a little bit, then fast forward for a few seconds. I have to say that I got tons of responses. You guys were really thinking on this. I got several of you that came really close, a couple of you that got it. I had one or two really cool theological discussions about the words and the placement of the letters, which was delightful also. Okay, so here's the answer to last week's puzzler. You take your word, you take the A off, take the first letter off, and put it at the end, and then spell the word backwards. So you take the A off, you put the A over here, you still have A-S-S-E-S-S. So by removing the first letter and putting it at the end and spelling it backwards, you get the same word. Take the D off, put it at the end, you get D-R-E-S-S-E-R, the same word. It works for each one of them. Voodoo, take the V off, put the V at the end, spell it backwards, voodoo. The same way. So I hope you found that entertaining. It was certainly fun hearing from you all. That was a delight and a joy. I was thinking this week, as I've been talking to some of you, that we're all doing a lot of cooking. 3 meals a day, quite often, for all the people in our houses and all the people that we're quarantined with. So I recently came into this book. Somebody dropped it off and ran. That would be my mother. I believe the book is, or was, my grandmother's. And it is full of newspaper clippings and magazine articles about food and recipes. My grandmother didn't cook, really, so this isn't, Grandma's biscuit recipe. It is more colorful pictures and interesting recipes. There are easy rum balls. There are bourbon balls. There is an iced rum cake. I'm sensing a theme here. As I look through it, there is a chicken log, because, everybody needs a chicken log. There's hot dog and cheese croissants. Green bean casserole. That is a classic. There is how to cut and prepare artichokes with crab louis in it. There's just all kinds of delightful recipes in here. Along with these recipes, there were a couple pamphlets. So this week I thought I'd share with you some recipes to maybe ease your cooking throughout the week, or spice things up, or give you something new to present to the family. So the first recipe book I have is Breakfast in 5 minutes or less. Who doesn't want, a speedy breakfast in the morning to help get your day going? So let's see, the first recipe in the corner is called Gold Strike, and it is an egg, a cup of orange juice, and a teaspoon of honey, and the honey is optional. You combine the egg juice and honey, beat or shake well until blended, pour into a tall glass, and drink. I'll give you one more. There is the eye opener, for those of you who have stayed up late reading scripture. It's an egg, a tomato juice, salt, Worcestershire sauce, Tabasco sauce, and once again you beat with a fork, pour into a tall glass, and drink. As I noticed reading through this pamphlet, the first thing in the top corner says breakfast in a glass. So if anybody wants any of these recipes, please feel free to email me. I will be happy to send them to you. The second little pamphlet is from the Maryland Sweet Potato Association in cooperation with the Maryland Department of Agriculture from 1974. I don't happen to care for sweet potatoes, but I do like to cook, and I'm always looking for a new recipe. So I'll share one of these with you as well for you to share with your family this week. It is sweet potato punch. Yes, I said sweet potato punch. It's sweet potatoes, water, salt, sugar, pineapple juice, orange juice, lemon juice, cinnamon, nutmeg, mace, whole cloves, the classic ginger ale and or carbonated fruit drink. You cook the sweet potatoes down until they are very, very soft, puree in a blender, mix with the sugar and the juices, remove the whole cloves, and that in turn gives you a puree that will be very, very thick. That would be your concentrate base. You take that, mix some of that with your flavored carbonated fruit drink, garnish with some lemons, and voila, you have a sweet potato punch. Best believe we're making this the next church supper. Again, if anybody wants recipes from this book, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to send you any of them along to you. So, as I was thinking this week about sweet potatoes, and how some people like sweet potatoes and some people don't, I was thinking about how we have all been created in God's image. Yet, when God created us and breathed life into our lungs, He gave us each unique talents and abilities and traits. We love differently, we laugh differently, we fear differently. Some of us like sweet potatoes and some of us do not. We should rejoice in our differences as we stay in our homes with our family and our children and our spouses and maybe an in-law. We are spending a lot of time together. So I ask you to embrace your differences. Rejoice in them. Find joy in the creation that you are. We are all a little bit different, but we have all been created in God's image. We are all still children of our loving God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Let us rejoice in that this week. Okay, so I will give you this week's puzzler. Oops, sorry. I'm going to read it to you because it has some specific measurements in it. A friend of mine purchased a piece of slate and to put it into the floor and the hearth in the front of his fireplace. The slate was 3/4 of an inch thick by 10 inches wide by 48 inches long and weighed on the order of 175 pounds. He had cut a hole in the oak floor that was the same size as the piece of slate. The depth of the hole was exactly 3/4 of an inch, the same as the slate. And of course, there was the subfloor underneath. When he put one end of the slate into the hole in the floor, he realized that he would have to drop the other end into the hole. And he realized that if he dropped it, he would snap the slate in half. Not only that, but it wouldn't go in the hole anyway. There was so little clearance that he couldn't even use thin fishing line to lower the end of the slate. So he sat there for the longest time, quite possibly enjoying an adult beverage and pondering on this. As he made his third trip to the refrigerator in the kitchen, he came back with a solution. So the answer to the puzzler is, what did he get from the kitchen that allowed him to lower the slate into the hole without risk of breaking it and without wedging it along the sides? So, once again, feel free to email me your answers. I look forward to hearing them. This should be a good one. I will leave you with this poem. We may live without poetry, music, or art. We may live without conscience and live without heart. We may live without friends. We may live without books. But civilized man cannot live without cooks. God bless all. Take care. See you next week.